Hey, it's Trust Oscar Mike Radio. How are we all doing? Number 170, talking about Veterans Day, which is on November 11th. But this is going to be on November 7th. Because Veterans Day has become like a full month thing. So before we get into what I want to talk about, big shout out to my sponsors, Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate and Mark Holmes of Reaper Detailing and Power Washing. Thank you very much. And if you look at the bottom of your screen on the left, you see kind of like this new logo action going on. I want to thank Mr. Mike Damon of Last Chance Designs. Did I get that right? I think I did. He also is a CEO of Vet Unite, and he's doing some work with the logos and some marketing for Oscar Mike Radio. Looking forward to working with him. I've seen a lot of his followers like the Oscar Mike Radio Facebook page. Thank you very, very much. And make sure if you have any kind of printing or design needs, you go to him. I certainly have learned that lesson and appreciate what he's doing for me or trying to do for me. Thank you very much. So getting right into this, this is about Veterans Day, which is kind of becoming Veterans Month in some places in this country. Very pleased to see that there are a lot of individuals, organizations, people, former military, active duty military, engaged in the community and with each other to support each other around this time. Can't say enough good things about how people are becoming empowered and finding ways to make change, not only in their own lives, but also in the lives of others. And it's just really, really cool to get to tell these stories. And that's kind of where I kind of wanted to talk about tonight is I get asked all the time, don't you think that we don't need to be as pro-veteran as we are now? Doesn't it seem like overkill? And I'm not sure how to answer that sometimes. And I say that because all one has to do is look back to Vietnam, and you get the sense real quick that we could go back there if we aren't vigilant. Maybe that's what happened with Vietnam is people got complacent after World War II and the Korean War and didn't really understand what was going on in the world and the veteran community as a whole. And so when things went bad during that time in our country, veterans kind of got left behind, and we're still seeing the effects of that. So no, I don't think that, I don't believe, let me be very clear, I don't believe that you can ever advocate too much for a veteran. I don't believe that at all. What I want to see happen is people connect with other people. I truly believe that, what I've been told before and what I've seen is correct. There's plenty of people that want to help. There's plenty of resources out there. It's connecting those people and resources to where the need is. And you have a segment of the population that I'm a member of who doesn't like to ask for help, doesn't deal with failure that well, doesn't deal with other things that go wrong that well, and it can be hard to do that. But we encourage those who are trying to make change in veterans' lives to keep at it. And one of the really great benefits of doing this now is getting to be involved and meet and talk with people who are actively doing this, whether it's through a simple, Wednesday night social at the VFW to bring people into the VFW and talk about, what's going on and network on a local level, or someone who's trying to do something on a national or even international level. What I'm trying to say is there's plenty of opportunity to help. There's plenty of opportunity to advocate. There's plenty of opportunity to be involved. It's just a willingness to maybe get out of one's comfort zone and do that. Which leads me to my next point. Look, I am told all the time by my fellow brethren The guys mainly, the women don't seem to have this problem as much. That there's nothing to do. I'm lonely. There's nothing to do. And look, I'm not making fun of somebody who has some real social anxiety issues as a result of post-traumatic stress or some other kind of infirmity or injury that might make them feel self-conscious. That's not the point here. I'm talking about the person who's sitting at home, on the couch watching TV, doing something else, and saying there's nothing to do as a reason that they can't do anything. Maybe not in all states and all areas of this country, but in a lot of areas, especially if you are in a populated area. If there's a VFW, American Legion, AMVETS, Disabled American Veterans Post, if there's one of those four, Marine Corps League, shouldn't have forgotten the Marine Corps League, Life Member, baby. My point is, if there's one of those five entities around, that is a fantastic place to start. I'm pleased to say that these organizations are understanding that they're getting older and need to get an infusion of youth. So they're more open to doing things. And you'd be surprised how many people who aren't veterans are at these organizations trying to create engagement and advocacy at a very local grassroots level. So if you're sitting at home with nothing to do and you're wanting to get out, that's a pretty darn good place to start. It's a really good place to start. It's a really good place to understand what's available to veterans and socialize with some people like yourself. And, if you can get on Facebook and find out, what's for Black Friday that's coming up, or a sale, or if you can follow your football team, you can figure out where the veterans and people who support them are. That's the other thing. I'm told all the time, well, I don't know how to find other veterans. It's hard. It's impossible. But yet this guy is following a sports team 3,000 miles away and knows when the guy freaking blew his nose. I mean, come on. It's not that hard. It just takes a little effort. And you might have to get on your social media feed and look up vet orgs in your area. You might have to, call a VA office to find out if there's any organizations in your town or in their area that you can link up with. Speaking of the VA, this time of year is Thanksgiving. And if you want to really kind of jumpstart your advocacy, the VA has plenty of opportunity around this time of year to do something for veterans. And it worked for me. A little story here real quick. I think in 2013, I was feeling really down. And I was encouraged, emphatically I might add, to do something. Go volunteer at the VA. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. And it wasn't a big deal. I'm not like, super patting myself on the back, because it was literally, I was setting up tables and handing out coffee and donuts. But it did a couple things for me. One, you can think about your problems and your challenges and your issues, and certainly everybody has their pile of poo that they're dealing with, right? But when you see where these veterans who are either infirmed or disabled or injured are, staying, and, the fact that they might not see their family or friends every day, or they can't leave the facility because they don't have a way to, it's a sobering thought. And any problem I had during that time kind of fade in the background, because some guy who I didn't know was just happy that somebody came to, his place on Thanksgiving in a common area and handed him a coffee and donut and just had some fun. I think we watched part of the Macy's Day Parade. We talked about the floats and a couple other things, and then I had to leave. And that kind of started a whole domino effect of other things and activities that got me to where I am today. What I'm trying to say is it works. And why do we need to keep doing this? And I can't bring it up on, I will have this link and story in the Oscar Mike Radio blog post. But there's this article from LinkedIn by George Anders. I can't pull it into the recording, but it's talking about Army veteran Richard Thomas, Richie. And he was in the Army for 6 years. He had a top security clearance, a combination letter. You know, he was an encryption specialist, and he supported special forces soldiers, do all kinds of crazy stuff. And as is the case with so many veterans, he found out that just because he served did not mean that he had an easy path when he got into civilian life. You know, rent, healthcare, you know, food, all that stuff that he wasn't paying for before, he had to take care of now. Huge disconnect between dealing with civilian coworkers and dealing with work in the Army. And one of them that really was hard for me to get back in the swing of, if we were sick in the Marine Corps, and the article goes into it, and he's absolutely right, you couldn't just, you know, roll out of the rack and say, "Oops, I'm sick. I'm gonna, you know, just stay in bed today," or take a mental health day. There was none of that. You had to get up, put on your uniform, and go stand in formation, and then tell your section head or corporal or sergeant that you were sick. He'd tell the first sergeant would write you a shit to go to medical. So you might have a 102-degree temperature, but unless they were carrying you out in an ambulance, you were expected to show up in formation. So if you're starting to get sick at 3 o'clock in the morning, and medical's not open, you might be waiting 12 hours before you're actually seen, unless you're in a level 1 trauma. Of course, they get the ambulance and get you, but for what they called in my world basic stuff, you waited. And it's things like that that are hard to adjust to, and he felt really challenged by the life he had to live once he got out. Where the skills that you developed in the military don't necessarily, I wouldn't say translate, that's not the right word, but what am I trying to say? So, well, I'm a perfect example. I had skills and technology in the MOS I had, but people on the outside couldn't understand what that is. So on this Veterans Day, and like I tell people all the time, is when you get that military resume across your desk, just because that guy doesn't have a college degree, or it doesn't quite make sense what he or she did, because female veterans run into this too. I encourage those people to reach out to somebody, your veteran service officer, a military, coworker, anything to give that veteran a chance, and understand that they are coming from a different place than you or I. Dealt with myself a couple of times, had to remember that this person is not used to operating in a corporate environment. So it takes a little time for them to get used to that and do that. Which leads me to my next point. I don't know about where you work, but where I work and people that I work with in the kind of area I work in, a lot of companies now have, they're called diversity and inclusion groups. And these are groups that, work with different affiliations of anything, Asian, Black affinity, Pride, but there's also a lot of them have military affinity networks. And even if you're a civilian, you can learn a lot if you join one of these military affinity networks. One, you will connect to coworkers who either are serving through the National Guard or reserves, or have served at different times in the last 20, 30 years, and bring different experiences to the workplace. And if you get that military resume on your desk, you can reach out to one of these people and get some advice. You can support what they're doing if they are doing a parade or anything like that in the community, or toy drives. You can help out. And it's a great way for you to meet veterans in the corporate sense, but also as a way for you to advocate for veterans at your workplace who just got out of the military and they're trying to readapt to civilian life. I don't know what's going on tonight. Anyway, I'm going to have this link in the Oscar Mike Radio blog post because it's a really great story. He talks in length about not knowing what to do, dressing incorrectly for interviews, and what it took for him to make it, and that feeling that you're taking a step back or failing because you had all this responsibility and you worked in all these really high speed areas, and you get out and the thing that you're told you really qualify for is the equivalent of bagging groceries. And I'm not say anything bad about those people who bag my groceries, but it's kind of hard to, work on an aircraft carrier in the engine room and then go to, the local grocery store and bag groceries and be happy about that. And I feel that's part of the reason that veterans sometimes feel disconnected. I think that's why Veterans Day can be hard for a lot of us. And, I get asked this question all the time, why is it that, if you want Veterans Day off, you got to ask for it off? I said, well, I don't mind doing it. It could be a holiday, but it's not a big deal to me. I never really thought of it that way. I'm happy to have a job. I'm extremely happy to be employed where I am. And I feel that my employer really bends over backwards to make sure that military service members, active duty, Reserve, National Guard, veteran are all welcomed. I can say that with complete assurance. It's not, corporate speak right here. No, my company walks the talk. What I'm trying to say is if you are somebody looking for a way to help veterans, your corporate military affinity group might be a good way to get involved. And if you serve the military and your company has a corporate affinity network, please join. Oh, my word. It's an easy win for you. You're going to connect with other veterans. You're going to be able to help people out who are trying to hire veterans. And you're going to be in a position to network and do well and connect. That's what we need to do as veterans, is connect. I don't care if you're a machine gunner. I don't care if you were a cook. I don't care if you worked on the F-35. Join that affinity group. And on Veterans Day, I got to tell you, it's 170 today, closing in on 200, which should be, let's see here, that's 34, it's 6 months away. Going to be here before I know it. And I have just been absolutely amazed, humbled, and pleased at what my brothers and sisters do in their lives to reinvent themselves. Everything from, trying to open their own food truck to, making their own, coffee brand, to starting their own companies or their own nonprofits to serve fellow military or people in the military, to just doing all kinds of creative stuff, rap music, which I don't listen to, but my kids really like, musicians, artists, painters, yoga instructors. It's just always amazing how the veteran, once they get their direction in life, can just really pursue something else and go for it. And it's really, really powerful and encouraging to see that. And if you get a chance to support a veteran business or a veteran nonprofit or somebody who's working to support veterans, go for it. Go for it. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the state of Massachusetts, there's like almost 30,000 nonprofit veteran organizations. Go look it up on your state's website. Find one near you. There are tons of them. Everything from pet therapy all the way up to transition assistance, housing. I couldn't possibly name them all in an hour, much less 8. So what I'm trying to say is if you want to be involved and understand what Veterans Day is all about, there's an easy way to do it. So winding down, I just hope that you enjoy this weekend. Veterans Day is on a Monday. So for me, it's going to be a 3-day weekend, hopefully, with no problems. It's going to be great. Looking forward to literally being on the move. And I'm going to kind of tip my hand now, but if I do this right, not next week, but the week after that, I'll be busy, but I'm going to try, because I'm thinking between now and Monday night, I will have 7 episodes worth of stuff to talk about. So instead of trying to talk about each thing in its, like all 7 together in one episode, I'm going to try to make 7 podcasts and put stuff up every day the week of Thanksgiving about Veterans Day. And it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. It's going to make me grow a little bit, but I'm loving it. Can't wait to see how this is received. And speaking of which, if you are an advocate for military, if you served, if you have a business, if you have a nonprofit, and you want to talk about it and get it out there and see how it is received, reach out to me, Travis Oscar Mike Radio. Throw a like and share on my Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. Would love to connect with you and, see what we can do to work together. So again, that's pretty much what I want to talk about tonight. I didn't want to get too, preachy or not have fun. I'm having a lot of fun, but I'm telling you, if you want to advocate either personally or professionally, if you want to be involved, if you want to connect to people who are like you, there are ways to do it. You can do it through the VA, you can do it through local ORs, you can do it through your work, you can do it by yourself, you can do it on social media. Last thing, just before I forget, I'm going to have these links in the blog post as well. Did you know that Facebook and YouTube, for all of the hate people throw at those 2 platforms, YouTube and Facebook legit have a program where you can take your nonprofit and link into these 2 platforms. And if you put in some effort, you can use these platforms to generate funds for your nonprofit. And it's free. There will be some time and effort involved, no doubt. But I'm trying to get a hold of a vet org that's profiled on Facebook that did it, and they raised $50,000 through this program. So I'm all over that. I want to find out how they did that, and I want you to find out how they did that. I think that's going to be the future. I really do. I really think that if you can engage with people on social media, whether or not you like it or hate it, it's not going away. And it's going to be here. So if you can use it to further your cause, I am all for it. So again, and I'd be remiss, I want to really call them out. Just a huge thank you to my sponsors and supporters. Joyce Asack of Asack Real Estate has been, not since day one, but very early on, for whatever reason, saw something in this whole thing and said, I really think you've got something here and I want to support it, and became my first sponsor. And if you have a real estate need in the South Shore area of Massachusetts, she's a place to go. And I will have, like I do with every blog post on the website, I'll have her contact information in there. And then my most recent sponsor is Mark Holmes of Reaper Detailing and Power Washing. Don't get clean, get Reaper-fied. I love saying that. And I really enjoyed getting to know Mark and talk to him and understand that he's trying something difficult. He's trying to open his own business and get this thing growing and make a real company out of it and provide a good service as well. And I just really appreciate, how you've looked at Oscar Mike Radio and supported it and told people about it. It's just been fantastic. And again, if you look at the logo in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, this is all Mike Damon's work. And, you know, I've tried going to other sites to have people work on my logo, and not that I needed work. I like it just the way it is, but I did feel that an update was warranted. It's almost 4 years old, and I wanted to see what I could do with it. And he's taken this thing, man, and really run with it. I really, really like that image there in the for video work. It really stands out in my mind, and I just think it encompasses what I do, and it keeps enough of the old elements that I'm happy, but is a different enough change that it draws you in. So I'm looking forward to doing some more work with Mike and seeing, you know, where this takes us. And, you know, didn't know him, you know, until a couple months ago. We started talking, and you know, here we are. So just excited to be with you all here on this Veterans Day week. And, you know, regardless of how you feel about the military, you know, these people served, and we want to come home and get jobs and take care of our families and grow in life. And you all can help with that. That's the best thing is you all can have a real impact for our success. And for those who've had an impact on my success personally, professionally, I just want to say thanks. This has just been about me reconnecting with a part of myself and advocating for those who, you know, need a voice. And I couldn't do this without your help and support. Thank you very much. So this is the end of 170. Like I said, I'm trying to get 7 podcasts, so that's 3.5 hours of content ready to go for Thanksgiving week. And that means that Monday through Sunday, I'll have something going on. It's going to be freaking awesome. So check it out. We're on the move, and lock through launch.